I don't even remember what my intro was, but hey, it's Dad Tech. So I've been gone from the world of YouTube for a while. Some people may remember when I was streaming on Twitch. And quick side note regarding that, I'll return to streaming soon, just some things I need to get fixed. Anywho, during that I played a little indie game called Megami Tensei Nocturne HD Remaster. Wow, that's a mouthful. Anyways, that was the start of my crawl into the Atlas slash Megami Tensei rabbit hole. I like to say I've played enough Megami Tensei games to have a decent bit of knowledge about the series, enough knowledge to point where I can go in comment sections and basically just point out falsehoods that were started in the Megami Tensei community, which there are a lot of. Jesus, there's a lot of them. Today's in specific is the hype of the main character of Nocturne, Demi-Friend. Oh wait, that's a type of my script. I meant the Demi-Fiend! Oh, and also by extension we'll be tackling Aleph, but his reasoning is way more simple than Demi-Fiend, so he's just going to kind of be in the backseat there. Huh, kind of like actual SMT2. I know I just pissed off a bunch of fans by saying that. Anywho, warning before we start this, I'll be using a lot of SMT terms or Shin Megami Tensei terms or just Megami Tensei terms. And I know people don't, or I can't speak. I know that a lot of people aren't familiar with SMT, so they won't really get the terms. I'll try my best to quickly explain them, but for brevity, just a warning. Anywho, so a running thing with these characters is how they're the strongest protagonists, and people like Demi-Fiend always holding back and everything. Today I'm going to be breaking down all those claims and explaining why they're not the strongest by a long shot. Alright? Well, so before we can get these claims, we need to actually list what Demi-Fiend and Aleph by extension can do. This will basically be a mini Stating Central. Ready? Let's go. Demi-Fiend is a half-human, half-demon hybrid from Nocturne that basically has a choice to align with several reason users who have the ability to basically shape the world once they get their full reason into the kind of world they want. Or he can forsake it entirely and become a true demon who will go on a war against God. Yeah, the Megami Tensei series is weird. Anywho, this god is considered either the Axiom or YHVH. To answer this very easy question, because we need to get this out of the way. I might just make an entire video on it later, by the way. But anywho, to answer, the Great Will Nocturne is a YHVH. When Demi-Fiend ever dies to Nocturne, which is the screen you'll see a lot from the Manator boss fight, if I have anything to say about that, you see a flurry of angels that point towards the sky, obviously referencing heaven, while the text says, the comfort of death will come, for men and demons alike, ... by the guidance of the Great Will. Which, angels serve YHVH as we know from the Megami Tensei franchise. Another thing is that Metatron states he appears on the Great Will's behalf, which, if you know anything about Metatron, the most consistent thing about him, I don't even think he's ever once contradicted, is that he serves YHVH. He's literally a direct servant of God. So, yeah, this is YHVH 100%. Also, like, when Demi-Fiend beats Kagasuchi, he gets cursed by the Great Will, which, the person known for cursing people, usually in the Megami Tensei franchise, is YHVH, like how he cursed Aleph into, like, an infinite cycle of reincarnation or something like that. So, yeah. Anywho, now back on topic. Demi-Fiend choosing the true demon ending means he defeats Kagasuchi, who basically embodies creation, or more so the vortex world, it's kind of just in the middle there. So upon his death, Lucifer directly states creation is no longer possible. So yeah, he then fights Lucifer, who tests him to see if he's worthy, then goes to war against YHVH. Aleph is kind of simpler because he's basically just the main protagonist of Shin Megami Tensei 2. He was a falsely created messiah because the angels were waiting for Messiah and didn't come yet. So Aleph has 3 different routes he can take, and if I recall correctly, all of them end with him fighting YHVH. So yeah, he goes, defeats God, blah blah blah, and Demi-Fiend basically goes and defeats God's avatars, and eventually will go to war with God. So from that alone, you can gather they're pretty strong guys, like outside of SMT. Like, you can fight and defeat God, or an avatar of God. Like, you have to be pretty strong to do that, I would say. Or not strong, I don't know. But anyways, the issue is that in the context of SMT, that's incredibly common and not as impressive as you might think. But before we can even break this down, let's go over each of Demi-Fiend's strongest claims. Ready for this? I know I'm not. So let's see some of these reasons people usually list Demi-Fiend as strongest. Let me get my glasses on here. Okay, they believe during his boss fight he's holding back because his theme is the regular enemy battle theme, meaning he views you as a regular enemy encounter. Or the other reason someone tried to use one time was because he didn't have his Masakato's Magatama equipped during the SMT5 boss fight. They also tried to use how Gaia's Rage one-shots you. Another thing is that true demon ending he goes on to do a huge war against God, which some people think is the Axiom and others think is YHVH, but yeah, no, YHVH. Also, he doesn't use weapons. Aleph, meanwhile, fought and beat God. GG. So, yeah, these are the universal claims I hear. If there's anything I'm missing, they'll probably not matter that much, but you can put it in the comments below. Go ahead. Anywho, let's talk about the first claim. He's holding back. Completely unsubstantiated. Wow, I did that first try. Let's go. Woo! Even though that sounded weird. Let's try again. Completely unsubstantiated. See, literally nothing in the game ever notes he's holding back. People just like to assume it without having any, like, real legitimate evidence. By legitimate evidence, I mean, because, like, people will try to say the weirdest stuff. But, before I even go into that, I like to say, I could break this down to the philosophical parts about how this argument's wrong and everything like that. But this isn't a philosophy YouTube channel, so let's go in layman terms. So, for claims like this, the most important thing there needs to be is actual legitimate or reasonable evidence. The evidence given for this is far from reasonable. First, regular enemy encounter music. No, while yes, the regular encounter does play during the battle, this would not be from Demi-Fiend's perspective. When a theme plays usually for an enemy battle, it's meant to be their theme most of the time, not yours. So even making that argument is implying that fucking Demi-Fiend is viewed as a regular enemy. Like, the only real rare cases you can use is like trippy stuff like Undertale Sans Battle, where in context Megalovania is your theme, but like, aside from that, usually the theme is played for the villain, or the boss, so yeah. Now, in Demi-Fiend's case, it being him viewing you as a regular enemy also makes no sense, because regular enemy encounters in Nocturne don't take over 40 minutes to complete. At least, if it's not bullshit, but yeah. And Demi-Fiend doesn't lose to a regular enemy, canonically at least. So, it's like also very clear that the theme is just playing for nostalgia, since he's the main character of Nocturne, so we're going to give him, oh, maybe the theme that people heard over 50 times while playing Nocturne. Yeah, that just makes the most sense. I don't understand why people use a theme as an argument. It's not a legitimate argument. Next, there's the Masakado's equipped, not having equipped or whatever. That's just like pure headcanon, honestly. Because when you use Demi-Fiend's essence, right? You literally have the same immunities the Masakados have. Some people that use arguments say like this is proof that he's holding back. This is just proof that his stats during the boss battle is, surprise surprise, a game mechanic. Because obviously they want to make a super boss, not a boss that is nigh unbeatable, because you have to go against the rules of the game to do it. Like, just fucking spam, like, pierces and shit like that. That's be annoying. Also, like, quite honestly, the idea that he's holding back because his immunities are now just resistances doesn't make sense. Holding back is usually like someone dropping their guard so, like, you can harm them more. Making your immunities change to resistances don't make you weaker. It just makes you have lesser resistance to something. So, even if you want to say he purposely did that, the person beating Demi-Fiend would still be physically stronger than him. Because that's just a resistance, it's not a durability. Another thing we can see in SMT4, Apocalypse, Messiahs, and Diamond Realm DLC, God, these names are long, is that Demi-Fiend's character thing is that he literally won't hold back against anyone, not even the Prime Minister. Like, he says that himself. So it's not even Demi-Fiend's character to hold back. Why would we assume he does? Especially when nothing in the game says so. Next point, Gaia's Rage. This is so popular because it's basically a really powerful damage attack. Basically, during both Demi-Fiend fights, if you like, I think if it's like you take too long, he'll just use that attack and it's one-shots the entire party. But here's a quick funny note. If you buff your vitality really high in SMT5, Gaia's Rage actually won't one-shot you, won't even do that much damage to you. But that's not the main argument here. The main argument here is that it's a clear as day super boss asshole gimmick. You know how we know this? Because Matter Lucifer, a being that's directly transcendent on YHVH and should most definitely be more powerful than Demi-Fiend, uses Gaia's Rage himself and it doesn't deal insta-kill. So yeah, clear as day super boss mechanic and not an actual canon thing. Final point is he went on to fight God, and this applies to Aleph too, so let's go over this. So aside from the fact, though, for Demi-Fiend, that we have to this day no confirmation of where the war went, and some games even go as far as to imply he lost in the war, let's assume he did go and beat YHVH. Well, time for him to get in line because several protagonists have done that in SMT, or someone stronger in YHVH they beat in SMT. Let's go over each one, shall we? Firstly, the most recent one, the Nahobino. the main character of SMT5, he is consistently stated to not only be a threat to the throne and to YHVH, but also he grabs the very throne himself to amplify himself massively in power, and then goes on to fight Matter Lucifer, who transcends YHVH. Mind you, Demi-Fiend canonically fights and loses to him. And mind you, when he loses him, this is before he has the entire throne amplification. So yeah. Then there's Tadano Hitonari, the main protagonist of Strange Journey. He fights with Mem Aleph, who fought and defeated YHVH. And then Tadano, after defeating Mem Aleph, goes on to get the Cosmic Egg, making him far more powerful to the point that he can take out each new Schwartz, which are like multi-layered spacetimes that are formed by Mem Aleph, basically. So destroying those are just as impressive as beating her, basically. And he's defeated like, I think 7 of them. Then there's Hideto, the main protagonist of Megami Tensei 2, who fights and defeats YHVH, or he can choose to get even more powerful from YHVH, becoming a god on his own. Then there's Aleph, of course, who fought and defeated YHVH. Then there's Flynn and Nanashi in SMT4 Apocalypse, who fought and defeated infinite heads of YHVH. Nanashi himself can even choose to become god in the Anarchy ending, and this is after defeating the infinite heads. Then there's my boy Raida Kuzunoa from Raida Kuzunoa series. While he hasn't directly fought YHVH, he is directly considered such a threat that an angel had to come down and fight him, believing that he would be a complete threat and surpass God. Raida himself has been noted to surpass God by his soul's god Omagatsu, and the Soma God Omagatsu and Shinado are both god level beings that like should be either equal or superior to YHVH. Soul God Omagatsu himself is like basically Raida Kuzunoa 50th fused with it, and when it happens, they literally portray a yellow head and refer to himself as the true god, which, you know, who else has a floating yellow head? YHVH. Then Shinado, he's like the embodiment of that spirit realm, the infinite abyss, which has a sphere of gods where you directly speak to YHVH, and he embodies that, and then Raito beats him. So yeah. Then the Devil Summoner protag fights and defeats the Demiurge, which is noted to be the most powerful fragment of YHVH, and Demiurge isn't even the final boss of the game. He fights way greater threats later in the game. The Devil Survivor protagonist goes on to War of YHVH also, and the Devil Survivor protagonists fight Braham, who is basically the counterpart to YHVH, and hell, they fight and defeat Demi-Fiend in part 1 of their game. Not even part 2. Also, if you want to be really funny, Lucifer and SMT5 somehow found a way to kill YHVH. So yeah, I can keep going on, but this is such a basic thing that like fighting and defeating YHVH and SMT isn't that impressive. Fuck, there's people stronger than him that like the people have beaten. And this is my main issue with Demi-Fiend / Aleph is the strongest argument. Ignores the feats that he's capable of. It's really just what a bunch of other protagonists can do. It's not even impressive. Now, if we really talk about an entire strongest protagonist thing, that'd have to be for another video because, God, there's like just an entire list you can do. Though I can tell you with certainty, Demi-Fiend and Aleph aren't the strongest by a long shot. Oh wait, that's right. If you say that, that makes you a Nahobino fanboy, even though I'm very clearly a Raito fanboy, not a Nahobino fanboy. But I digress. Oh right, the he doesn't use weapons argument. Yeah, no, that's just fucking stupid. I don't even know if I mentioned that earlier in the video, but yeah, it's one of the arguments they use. Demi-Fiend doesn't use weapons, so he's the strongest. Yeah, I don't know either. All in all, I'm not trying to gatekeep a character here. People can like Demi-Fiend and Aleph all they want. Don't really care. The issue I have is the clear overhype that comes from blatant incorrect information. Some people ask, why do you care? Well, you see, if this was any other series, like maybe fucking Zelda or something, most people would brush that off and not like pay attention to it. But in Megami Tensei fandom, blatantly incorrect information somehow gets blindly accepted and then applied all over. That's how we had theories like Aleph and Sajiri become almost argued canon to a point by some people before like a big debunk happened. Also, that's why people think that the action and the Great Wheel are the same being. And yes, I will be tackling some of these in the future. Not the Sajiri one though. That's been debunked so many times and there's a full YouTube video on it. But anyways, that's all I have to say. Aleph and Demi-Fiend are not the strongest. Sorry to tell you guys. But if you like this, thanks for watching. Tell me what Megami Tensei topics you want to see next. I think I'm doing some of them. Also, yeah, I know some of you were waiting for this mention, but yeah, Persona, there, mentioned it. You happy? Alright, well, as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you know, all that fun stuff. I think it's the, what was the ending again? It was like, I am that, and I give you my attack. Oh yeah, there you go. So always stupid, but thank you for watching. See ya.